But don't look in your rearview mirror, here comes number 8. He's a rocker and a roller, and he shows us how to shut him down. I guess he runs independent until my dad is back in town. Yeah, I guess he runs independent until my dad is back in town. Bad boy, stand on it, son.
And welcome to the Nasboys podcast. Now, did you know that in 2015, Landon Castle decided to do a little weight loss experiment in the Brickyard 400? He placed a thermometer inside his car and took notes of his weight before the race. The temperature inside the car was well above 140 degrees. And by the end of the race, he calculated that he lost about 8 pounds in water weight. You probably didn't know that, and we didn't know that either, but Christian just told me that today. But anyways, welcome to the Nasboys podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Mike, a.k.a. Mike Fab-Fam 101, with my good friends Ryan, a.k.a. 3_ Ryan _ W 3 _.
What's up, guys?
And Christian, a.k.a. Savage Nascar.
What's up?
So, we have an interesting little video today. It's not going to be like our usual videos. We're going to do paint scheme review as always, but before that, I thought of a new idea that I saw during a talking session in one of my other NASCAR chats. NASCAR what ifs. Now, other people have talked about NASCAR what ifs before, but I decided, hey, why not we give our own little spin on NASCAR what ifs? So if you guys like this, please comment down below and we'll try more NASCAR what ifs. But for now, let's get started. So first NASCAR what if Dale Earnhardt Sr. never died?
That's always one that people would think about for sure. I know a lot of people have told me that. That's definitely one that's up there on the top of the list.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna put when you asked the question, but I knew so many people were going to that I just went a different route.
And that literally, like, I mean, it would probably, the sport would probably not definitely be where we were at, if I can speak English, today. And I mean, if he wouldn't have died, I mean, what would we have gone to Hans device? I mean, would we have had some of these changes like safer barriers? I mean, we probably would have had more deaths, to be honest with you. I mean, think of there was one wreck a lot of people don't know about, but 2002 at Texas, John Andretti hit the inside wall really, really hard. If he didn't have a Hans device and there wasn't safe barriers there, if that was back in, the 90s, he would have probably had a very bad injury. Or even worse. And I mean, we could think of all those wrecks we've seen ever since 2001. There was a lot of bad wrecks that if there wasn't a Hans device, wasn't a safer barrier, the person would probably have been really badly hurt. So, I mean, it's sad, that Dale Sr. passed away. And we mentioned this in the Daytona episode. I mean, it changed the sport. I mean, that's the biggest what if. Like, what if he didn't pass away? Would he have won another championship?
Yeah, I agree. I firmly believe that more people would have died, or if not died, definitely gotten hurt. And I agree with you. They might not have had the Hans device. Many of the stuff today definitely would not have been required that were made a requirement after his wreck. And I'm sure people would have also today been running, if not today, definitely more recently, like open helmets like he ran. Because, the myth that some people say, oh, open helmets gave him the advantage because he could feel the wind or see the wind. So I think people will be doing that. And we've seen terrible wrecks. Like one I was thinking about earlier today when I thought of this question was, even though it was more recently, and maybe there would have been something that would have helped this if it wasn't for Dale. And we talked about this back in the Las Vegas episode with Rex, Austin Theriault's wreck, where he Yeah.
Oh, and there goes Terrio hard into the wall. And that's Reddick in the 19 that had the problem, that kicked it all off with Terrio as he comes grinding to a halt on the front straightaway after a huge, heavy impact here on the front stretch.
There's Reddick high in turn 4 loose. Just about has his truck saved, and along comes Terrio. Look at that right front tire.
Yeah, really nothing Austin can do.
At all.
And Tyler Reddick, he was just fighting to regain control of his truck.
I don't know. We didn't see if anything maybe clipped Reddick and sent him sliding sideways. We just caught it as he was up there fighting for control of that truck. Oh, that's so scary.
It's such a sick feeling for Tyler, watching his teammate turn into the outside wall right in front of him. What a great sight that is right there now.
Oh, no, his bell's rung, but it's great.
He hit it a ton.
There were safer barriers, and he still hit a concrete wall. Or it wasn't a safer barrier, it was definitely like a tough wall. So he really could have died. He was injured already with all of the modern equipment. And if it weren't for the stuff that were established with Dale, I'm sure that he could have gotten even more hurt or maybe even died from it. So that's just one example that I think his death really did help shape the safety.
And another one too I thought of the next year, the 2002 Auto Club race where his son nailed the outside wall coming off turn 4 when Harvick blew a tire. That could have been one too.
And Kevin Harvick, the second car involved. I think Dale Jr. was trying to get in the pits, and or somebody was. There were several, there we go.
Almost like maybe Kevin Harvick was
trying to get in the pits.
29 car.
Oh, that's it. I'm telling you, that is
a brutal hit.
It is.
Kyle Petty just squeezes through there, has to go to pit road to take evasive action. So does Jeff Gordon.
That I don't like the looks of that.
All the cars have now taken the caution flag, and rescue workers come to the aid of Harvick and Earnhardt Jr. You're exactly right, Darrell. Harvick had slowed. He was trying to get to pit road. And Earnhardt Jr. going under him, the two collided.
Well,
You can see he's awake, alert, talking to the rescue personnel.
He's I just knocked the breath out of him, I guess. I tell you, they've done such a great job with the inside of these cars and the head and neck restraint systems and everything else.
See Kevin Harvick out, his car.
Next week in the NASCAR Wednesday Cup Series moves on to the Richmond International Raceway. Running of the Pontiac.
He's just got. I think he's got the breath knocked out of him. Plus,
NASCAR Busch Series. Orange Radio's coverage begins.
I hope that's all it is.
20 laps to go. Fifth caution of the day from the Bud Cam.
Here he is, and he sees all of a sudden there's Harvick on the outside. Oh boy!
Oh wow!
See his hands.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be completely honest. It's not that someone could have died. Someone else definitely would have died if Dale Sr. didn't die. We've seen so many incidents similar to the Dale Sr. crash where they look simple. They just look like a simple wreck. Oh, he's fine. But they end up going really hard into the wall. I definitely think someone could have died, like Dale Jr., for example, like what Ryan just mentioned, or Christian actually just mentioned. Someone for sure would have died, and I think that Dale would still, if Dale was still alive today, I think that Junior would have won a championship, DEI would still be functioning, and Dale would probably be a top team owner in the sport. And people who I think could have died, in all honesty, Michael McDowell, Ryan Newman, that's just a couple. Eric Almirola could have died. There's so many people who, Joey Logano could have died. Larson could have died. There's so many. Austin Dillon, even in Dale's car. They all could have died if it wasn't for stuff like the Hans device, roll cages, Newman bar. So, in a way, even though that we're all sad that Dale is not with us anymore and, we'll never get to see him until we go up to heaven, it's a blessing that he died because we didn't lose any more icons. And luckily, no other driver has died since then. So let's move on to another one. This is a little more recent. What if Carl Edwards never retired?
That's a good one. I mean, I feel like he still has some years left. I mean, he retired so young. I mean, him and Casey Kane kind of retired around the same time. And Carl Edwards, I feel like the heartbreak of just coming so short, multiple times definitely, I think, was a factor. And a lot of people want him to come back, and I would love to see him come back to NASCAR, but he's made it clear that he's moved on. But it doesn't surprise me that there were some things he said in some of his interviews, probably look it up, where you could tell he wasn't happy with certain things going on in the sport. But I mean, that's definitely another what if, because he probably could have won a championship. I mean, if I'm correct, it was only his second or third year being in a Joe Gibbs racing car, and he had been with Jack Roush his entire career in the 99, and he came close multiple times in the 99. And I mean, it's just sad that he retired that early, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I definitely do think he retired very early. And like you said, I mean, you pretty much said it all. He's come so close to the championship so many times, and I definitely think he could win. He made it to the Final Four in Gibbs equipment in the 19 car. And I think he could have done it again. And he's won twice at Phoenix, if I'm correct. So, the last race being at Phoenix, that wouldn't have been a stranger to him. That he's a winner there. He could have won again, or at least done well enough, as he's shown, to take the championship. So I definitely think if he was still around, I think he would have at least had one championship, and he would definitely have more than he has now.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I 100% think that he would have been a champion. I think that he could have won it in 2017, if I'm being specific. Carl was just such a good driver. He even almost won that championship, but, he just made the block, and that's what happens sometimes. But if we think, kind of logically here, if Carl hadn't retired, Suarez would have never gotten the 19. Carl would have either run one more final season, maybe a couple more. He maybe could be even in the sport today. You never know. And this also brings me to somewhat of another what if that I looked at today. What if Suarez got the 77 instead of Jones, which I believe, I think that still would have happened. Suarez would have probably gotten the 77 over Jones anyway, because, he already had the Xfinity championship. And Joe Gibbs just thought Suarez deserved a cup ride. So I think that if Carl Edwards didn't retire in 2017, he would have had a championship. Suarez would have never been in the 19 car until 2018 or 2019 or whenever Carl decided to retire. Jones wouldn't have started until Suarez was in Cup. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that one, the one you just mentioned with Jones, would have made as big of an impact on the sport. And I have a couple on my mind that I'll get to in a minute. But Ryan, what's your thoughts on that one that Mike just said?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it would have made the biggest impact, but I definitely think that's what would have happened. Because, like you said, he had the championship, and if they thought he was well enough to go to Gibbs, I'm sure, it would have been, even if Gibbs didn't want him, there would have been teams that did want him anyway. So I think he would have been going that direction, or if not, I
Right.
do think he would be in Cup. He would have been in Cup anyway that year and the following year.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I agree that it wouldn't make as big of an impact having Jones come in Cup later and Suarez coming in like 2 years later. The biggest impact of that would be like, let's say Martin Truex Jr. doesn't win a title or wins a title later, or Joey Logano doesn't win a title until later. You know, Chase, 2019 champ, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch wouldn't have won a second title until later. That's really the biggest impact that I think could have happened.
Yeah, one I just thought of now, actually, if Carl Edwards was still racing today, and if he was still in the 19, where would Truex have gone?
That's a good one. I feel like because with Joe Gibbs, they've opened more rides as the years have gone by. Truex, and Mike Walter Racing shut down, Furniture Row shut down. I know it's going to sound crazy, but he could have gone to the 5 because
True.
Casey Keene retired around that same time, if I'm correct. That year to year after, he could have gone to the 5, but there's probably could have been another ride, better ride available. I mean, the 14 could have been one too, but Boyer signed with Stuart Haas, so that wouldn't have worked. But maybe the 12 as well. I mean, if I'm correct, though, that was Blaney's rookie year, was that year 2016, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, I think he might have gone, if he was jobless at the time, I think he might have gone to the 42 after the Larson incident instead of Matt Kenseth.
Truex had left, or Furniture Row had left in 2018 when Truex lost the championship and had made that he may have won the battle, but he ain't winning the damn war sentiment. But if that had happened, I think this is a tough one because I forgot to mention this because I know that that's going to have a big impact as well. I think Truex would have gone to the 95. They were I think they were a Camaro team. Yeah, they were a Camaro team because Casey Kane signed with them in 2018. Or he could have gone to the 5 in 2018. But the thing is that the free agency was so limited. Like, look at Matt Kenseth, for example. He left the sport in 2017 along with Junior. And just because I think he was retiring, but at the same time, they wanted to go younger and put in Jones. So the free agency class was so limited because a lot of the drivers were either signing underfunded drivers or drivers were not switching teams. Like Joey Logano, I think, signed a contract extension. Harvick, Hamlin, that type of drivers, they were signing contract extensions. So I don't really think that Truex would have had very many options besides the 5 or the 95, maybe the 32 even.
All right, so sorry, good.
And Kenseth, as we saw, had to retire mostly because his free agency options were so limited, and then he came out of retirement when the 42 and the 6 opened up for a little bit.
So, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you on that. And I have multiple that come to mind, mainly ones from the past, like past, like back in the 90s and 80s. But the one that I feel like immediately popped in my head was, what if DEI never shut down, Dale Earnhardt Jr. didn't go to the 88, and what if Kyle Busch never left Hendrick?
Okay, like, I was going to mention all 3 of those. You just took them right out of my mouth.
I figured that might have been on your list too, but yeah, that's definitely a huge one because it could have changed a lot of things. Well, and I mean, sorry.
Well, for what if Dale never left DEI? Should we include if Dale is alive or if he's dead? Or both?
I'm talking about Dale Jr.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying if Dale Sr. was still alive and he's still on the team and Teresa didn't get it.
That's a good one too, because
I mean, that?
One thing I thought about was, Truex Jr. once drove for DEI in the Busch Series, and I know Brad Keselowski once drove the 88 in the Xfinity Series.
Mhm.
So, I mean, Kyle Busch, if he stayed in it's a tough one. I mean, Kyle Busch, if he stayed in the 5, I don't know if he would have won a championship in 2015. I don't know if that would have happened. I mean, considering the equipment that Hendrick had with Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, I feel like Kyle Busch wouldn't have had much of a chance. And I feel like Kyle Busch would have probably gotten a little bit impatient, and we probably would have tried to go to another team. That being said, it wouldn't have been a surprise if he maybe went on the same team as Kurt Busch. I mean, you think about that as well. And Dale Jr. probably, I still feel like Junior wouldn't have won a championship if he stayed in the A car. I do believe that, because I feel like his best chance of winning a championship was in 2004 and when he drove the 88 in 2014.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm gonna try to do like what we got with Dale dying, and if Dale was still alive. So if Dale still dies, for example, a DEI gets owned mostly by Junior, and Junior stays there, and he never goes to the 88. I say he finishes his career at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. He either doesn't win a championship, or he just wins one championship. That's what I think. Like, it's hard to tell, because concussions are still going to play a factor into it. Slumps like that winless streak are going to play into it. So that's hard to say when Dale is dead and Teresa doesn't own the team. If Dale's alive, I feel like Junior would have had somebody to lean on and ask for advice, because as many of you guys know, Senior was a 7-time champion. So I feel like if Dale was still alive, he would have won at least one championship, because Junior would have had somebody to lean on, ask for advice, help him out on the track and off the track. Even with Mikey would have helped him out too. So
yeah, Mikey would have made MRW, I don't think, or MWR. I don't think Mikey would have left to make his own team.
And even if he still made his own team, they would have been affiliated together.
True. They would probably not driven Toyota.
Yeah, they would have driven Chevy. So I think Dale's best bet would have had to be if Teresa never got the team. So Ryan?
Yeah, I agree. If Dale was alive, I definitely think they all would have won more championships. Not necessarily Dale, but Dale Jr., I think, definitely would have won one or two, and I think Mikey would have won some more as well. But if it was still around in Dale's favor, in Junior's favor, after Senior died, I'd like to say it would be better or different than modern day JRM, but I'm not too sure about that. Because I agree with you, when you said about the slumps and, all of that, winless streaks, cautions. So, I don't really know what to say, because everything I would say, y'all have said, and pretty much everything different is, already said. I just don't think they would have been as good, obviously, without Dale. But hopefully they would have had one, and I'm sure Mikey would have stayed with them, but I just don't think they would have gotten as much championships, or if any championships, if Dale Sr. wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I think, another one, I guess, moving up the years, what if Dodge never left NASCAR? And I really hope they come back, but what if Dodge never left NASCAR? Or they're still in the sport today?
Well, Joey Logano would have to drive Dodge. Brad Keselowski would have to drive Dodge. I think that Penske would have stayed the same, just different manufacturer. They were just, if I'm correct, there'd be just less Ford cars, really.
Yeah, I think Stuart Haas would go to Dodge.
Yeah, I could see Stuart Haas doing that.
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. or they would just say Chevy. I wish Stuart Haas would have stayed Chevy because I like Chevy and I like Dodge, but it's the way it is.
I
Yep.
think moving to Ford for Stuart Haas was a good move, but I do see what you're saying with them staying in Chevy. And then one more for this. What if Kyle Busch never left Hendrick, or he left Hendrick but went to a different team? Just never. What if Kyle Busch never left the Joe Gibbs?
I still
I
think
don't know
he
if he
would
would
have
have won a
won.
championship. Honestly, don't. I don't know if he would have won it on any other team.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Kyle was solid, if I'm correct, with Hendrick equipment, but he was not dominant like he was in the Toyota. I feel like the Toyota suited Kyle better than a Chevy. Now, obviously, no disrespect to Hendrick Motorsports. They are such a dominant team, but I just don't think Kyle was really fit for Chevy. And I feel like Toyota was really where he was at. And I don't think that he would have won a championship. And even if he still left Hendrick, he could have gone to Ganassi, maybe Penske, and teamed up with Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he could have only won if he stayed with Hendrick and not do nearly as good as he's doing with Gibbs, like winning as he was winning constantly and getting championships. But I do think he would have still gotten the championship with Hendrick. But I'm not sure he would have with the other teams. And it all depends on which team he would have gone to. But I think he would have gotten a championship, but not do nearly as good in the long run overall that he's been with Gibbs.
Yeah. Definitely.
Couple other ones that I just thought of before we move on. What if Davey Allison and Al Kwiecki didn't pass away? I mean, what if the Columbus Superbirds and Dodge Daytonas never got outlawed? I mean, what if NASCAR never got rid of Riverside's International Raceway? What if NASCAR would have not, I don't know how to put this. What if NASCAR didn't go with Goodyear and they kept Hoosier tires, but they went with Firestone? I mean, there's multiple ones. I think of.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think about these what ifs and what you think would happen in the comments.
Yes, please do. And please tell us if you like these, because I think we're all having fun doing these. We want to know if you guys are having fun with it, because maybe we can do more in future episodes. We'll see. I did make a question sticker on our Instagram, which, by the way, go follow our joint Instagram. Link is in the description. Now for a lightning round of what you just said, Christian. If Davey Allison and Alan Kwiecki never died, I feel like they would have won championships. Davey, without a doubt, would have won a championship. If the Superbirds never got outlawed, I don't really know, because I never really watched the Superbirds or like knew too much about them, so I'm not gonna comment about that one. And if the NASCAR never went with Goodyear fully, that is a tough one, honestly.
We probably wouldn't have seen the 2008 Indy Brickyard 500 where they had that many blown tires. I mean, the Dodge Daytonas and Supers, for those that don't know, those got outlawed. They raced in 1969 and 1970. They stopped doing that in 1971 because they had to meet certain requirements. And basically, they had to have certain engine size. And NASCAR didn't want them to go as fast as they were. They were like, oh, we need to reduce the speeds. Well, they were going around 200. They wanted them to lower the speeds around 190 so they could, I guess, have more competition in a way. And they were just winning all the time. In 1970, they won 33 of 48 races that year. The Dodge Daytonas and Superbirds did. And NASCAR decided to get rid of them because apparently they were going too fast. It was too dangerous. And the cars were just sticking so well to the ground that it was just a huge disadvantage. They're like, this isn't stock car racing. So they decided not to go with them anymore.
Yeah, actually, I see. I remember this now, because I think I watched a video on it. But yeah, I think the Superbirds. From what you're saying, I feel like the Superbirds would have dominated. and more people could have been killed. So I think that was probably the best decision to get rid of the Superbirds. But if they were never outlawed, I think that the Superbirds would just straight up dominate.
You know, they only have one death in a Plymouth Superbird in NASCAR. There was only one driver that got killed. And so I don't get why NASCAR is like, oh, it's not safe. Well, they were sort of safe. I mean, the cars didn't take off like airplanes. I mean, it is what it is. But
Like
I mean,
the normal stock car. I got you.
I mean, I just love those cars, and that's why I made the NASCAR Super Cup Series. I just love those cars. I wish they never would have got rid of them, but we see where the sport's at today. So I mean, I can't really complain.
Yeah, if they ever got outlawed, I think they would have inspired more cars like that today. I think NASCAR would be completely different than it would be today if it did that, because they would have definitely had cars like that today. I don't know with the big wing, but I think cars would just be really fast today because they're constantly trying to beat the Superbird and make cars faster or stronger or something that can outlast that. And I think it'll just be very different from stock car racing with maybe these weird looking cars, like how the Superbirds looked weird in their time because of the big wing and the pointed front bumpers. So I think it'll be a completely different, not only looking but maybe even feeling sport and more dangerous with the competing with the speed of that today.
And I hate to bring on the subject about it, but another thing too, y'all don't know, NASCAR, if I'm correct, in 1970, they're like, you have to basically make, I think it was 150 of them to sell to the public for you to race. Do they sell NASCARs to the public now? Like, it's weird because they're like, well, you have to manufacture about 150 of them and put them out, in the public so people could buy them. Next year, they're like, well, you have to make 1,500 of them. And they did right before the 500, so they were allowed to race. And then the next year is going to keep going higher. And I mean, they're like, well, these are the cars, you have to market, have to get public to buy so they could stay in NASCAR. And that's something you don't see today. You don't see people going out and buying say for instance, the Gen 6 car, the Gen 4 car. I mean, those do look similar to some of the cars, we see out and about, but not like these, man. These are just a different beast.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can understand sort of why NASCAR kind of like marked it up, like you had to make this certain amount because maybe it's a marketing tactic for the brand. I don't know, but definitely an interesting little fact there. So now I guess we'll move on here to some paint scheme reviewing. We're going to start off with the number 2 Brad Keselowski Freightliner. This one, in my opinion, looks a little bit better than Larson's. It's similar, but it's not that same Ricky Hendrick design. And it also has a white number, which is much better than the blue, in my opinion. And it has no gray on the side, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 7.
Yeah, it does look similar to Kyle Larson's, but I think it's better. I mean, I'm just tired of Kyle Larson's scheme. It's the same exact thing every week. Every scheme is different colors. And while this one has the same colors, but, that I understand. It's the sponsor's colors. So there's nothing wrong with the color chose. I think they executed it nice. And it reminds me of a little bit of Ryan Newman's carbon neutral scheme. But just like the darkish color, his was like, well, whitish, but this one with the black. But overall, I think it's a pretty good scheme, and I'll give it a 6.
I would have to probably give it a 6 as well.
All right, now next up is Josh Berry's Dale Jr. throwback. This is a scheme that I was not expecting to be thrown back to, but I'm very happy that it is. And I was just watching the Blink of an Eye documentary the other day. This car looks really, really well done. I'm trying to see if they got. Yeah, it is. They did get the baseball stitching right. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 10. This is an amazing throwback.
I'm giving it a 10, definitely. It's just awesome. This is one of the coolest cars that I thought from back then, from when it was racing. When I saw it in like older videos and diecast stuff that I saw, I thought that was really cool, and getting to see it back on the track it's awesome. So 10 for me.
Love to see throwbacks as well. I'm gonna have to give that a 10 as well.
And next up is Justin Allgaier's. Hold on a second. Next up is Justin Allgaier's Hello Water scheme. I don't mind it. It's got like the Carolina Panther colors, sort of, but
Yeah.
the thing that kind of turns me off a little bit is this random like William Byron Exalta stripes. Like, I don't understand why that's on the car when the whole car is just, Carolina Panther colors, and then you just have the random stripes there. If they didn't have the stripes, I would instantly give this car an 8, but for that, I'm going to give it a 7.
Christian?
Well, I thought you were gonna go, but
Have to find
yeah,
it.
I mean, this car I think is really cool. I mean, I like how they have the light blue, makes it stick out. And this car, I have to agree with Mike. It is kind of weird that those red, yellow, purple, and green colors there. And I feel like they did well with the ad and sponsor placement. I like this car a lot, even though it does have that one flaw. I'm gonna give this a 9.5.
Yeah, I found it, and I think it looks nice. I agree with the sponsor placement is nice. It's pretty smart, and the William Byron colors, they don't really bother me because I hated the scheme at first, but it's grown on me, and I actually really like the scheme, so I'll give it a 9.
Next up is, give me one quick second while I pull up the document. Myatt Snyder, Louisiana Hot Sauce. We've seen Myatt Snyder run these cars or trucks a lot, but this one looks interesting to me because they inverted the front, and now it has a red front with the flame on the side now. I don't mind it. I'm going to give it an 8.
Still looking for it. Ryan, if you have it, you go.
Yep, I did not realize I was muted. So,
Thanks.
yeah, I pulled the mic. Sorry.
Ryan, you were just making fun of me for that before we started recording.
I know, right?
Yeah. I jinxed myself. I think it's a pretty good scheme. I don't mind it. Here I also have brought up his previous schemes that he's run with the Louisiana Hot Sauce, and it's not my favorite that he's run, but it's still pretty good. So overall, as a scheme itself, isolating just the scheme, I'd give it a 7. But if I'm comparing it to the other ones he's run on both the Xfinity and trucks, I'll give it a 6.
And next up is Ryan Ellis's Overtons. Let me see if I can find this one. Oh, here we go. This one is pretty. Hold on, I'm trying to find the scheme. Should have pulled this up earlier. One of you guys go if you can find it.
I don't have it either.
Does this one have? Is this also a Women's History Month?
No.
Game? Okay, then I also.
All right, we're just gonna skip that one then.
Yeah.
Next up is Jake Griffin's Great Escapes. This is a neat little car. It's kind of a throwback to Rusty Wallace. I really like that. I wish they ran it at Darlington instead of Bristol. And the suckish part is the only like picture of the truck besides the render is it spinning out. But I'm still gonna give it a 10 for creativity.
Yeah, I would normally think it's a pretty basic scheme, but I do like that it looks like a throwback. I like the black, red, yellow. Kind of looks like a German flag, but I like it. It, like I said, it definitely looks like a throwback, and because of that, I'll give it a 9.
I'll give it a 7. I mean, I like throwback ones, but I don't know, man. I just have to give this a 7. I don't think it's like a great scheme, but it's not bad either.
And next up is Justin Allgaier's Walmart Fight for Hunger scheme. I really don't mind this scheme. It's a pretty solid. It's got a couple different shades of blue, which I like. I don't really mind this one. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 8.
I think this one's pretty interesting. It's kind of weird to see a fork coming out of the tire and trying to eat the number 7 on the side of the car. I like Hellman's, of course, from a great sponsor. It is kind of weird to have a Lepton logo too at the very rear end of the car. And the green, I'm trying to figure out what the sponsor is on the side. Is that Nord, like KNORR?
That's kind of Nord.
Place there. I liked our blue cars with all this stuff just everywhere, like the Exalta and Walmart and American flag also just randomly on the side near the window. It just, to me, just lowers the rating. I'm giving this a 6.
Yeah, I love the color on this, but all the sponsors everywhere reminds me of a JTG car, almost. Just because, there's no really set pattern. You've got the Nor and the Hellmans, which looks like 2, side stickers up above the tire. You got Brandt down there, and there's a lot of sponsors everywhere, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I really like the color of it. In the render, it looks matte, like a matte color. I'm not sure if it's going to be glossy or not on the track, but I mean, I would give it a 10 from the color, but because of all the sponsors and the random-ish placement, I'll give it an 8.
And then next up is Ryan Preece's Bush's Beans / Kroger car. I don't really know how I feel about this one. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really know how I feel about this. I don't mind the main concept with the Bush's Beans. Why is there a bean in the middle of the sun?
I know.
That's the part that gets me. Why is there just this random bean? And then it transitions into the Kroger, which I don't mind that transition because, hey, you can find Bush's baked beans at Kroger. So I think I'm gonna give this one I'll give it a 7.
If I'm looking at the same one you're looking at, is it the one with the penguins or something on the rear end with the Kroger? Or am I looking at the wrong one?
It's got Kroger on the rear end.
Those are people, not penguins.
It's so odd. To me, it's just so odd. I mean, it kind of looks like a Lipton tea car, that sort of color, but I just don't like it. I mean, I like bright colors, like I mentioned before, in other episodes and all that. I like light colors, bright colors, but it's just weird to me. I'm giving this a 5.
Yeah, I'm also gonna give it a 5. I like the old Bush's Beans more, the old brown one. This one reminds me of remember that hamburger helper scheme or something that the 43 used to run?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember it.
I'm getting major vibes from that just because of the blue and yellow. But I don't know. I mean, you've got the curve, the fade that we've seen these cars running, the JTG cars. So that's pretty basic for them, nothing major. And I think if they carried the blue or yellow instead of just switching from those colors straight to white, or going with a different shade of the blue and yellow to complement the white, it would look better. But they're kind of just clashing for me, so I'm giving it a 5 actually.
Next up, we have Ryan Newman's Coca-Cola / aggressive hydraulics for Bristol, which did not run. I like that it looks like kind of a throwback truck, and also that it's Coca-Cola because we don't really get to see many Coke schemes. But I just don't really like this one that much. It's kind of bland to me. But I'm just gonna give it like a 4, honestly.
I give the render a -2, but hoping the render is so bad. But you know, it's cool to see Coca-Cola back, and from afar, I thought that was like a car quest on the back because of the aggressive hydraulics, colors, and logo. But putting the bad render aside, and if what I hope they would have done if they were to, well, the red's obviously going to look different if this were to be on track. So trying to imagine what it would really look like, I'll give it a 6.
This one, I like Coca-Cola schemes, but I don't think this one was that great. I like red in there, but I felt like the red was too far back. It looks sort of like a Coke Zero car, or truck, actually. I'll probably give this like a 6.5.
Next up, we have Howie DeSavino's Kess Vacations Bud's Chevrolet. This is for Richmond, so I'm not really sure why Jordan's not running it, but it's okay. I don't mind it. It looks like a generic Jordan Anderson truck with the yellow number. It kind of gives me Crown Royal vibes, if you guys remember that. I'll give it a 6.
Yeah, I
And
agree. It does look like a pretty basic Jordan Anderson scheme with the 3 font and the color, but I think it's pretty cool. I like the looks like claw marks or shreds going down the side, which I really like. That's one way to, I wouldn't say fade, but to like separate the colors instead of just doing generic lines or whatever the hell Byron's doing. I think the claw marks and tears look pretty good, so I'll give it a 7.
as Ryan mentioned, I definitely like the claw marks as well.
Yeah.
The rear of the car gives me Carl Edwards Fastenal Nationwide Series car vibes. And I've never really heard of this sponsor. I don't know Howie DeSavino is. It's kind of interesting. But I mean, given all that, probably give it a 7.
And then next up, we have Ryan Truex's Circle B truck. This one, I don't really like this one that much. It's like all over the place. It's got like, what is that? Like paint splatters. It looks like the Metro, to be honest. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one like a 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding this one. I thought I had it up.
Yeah, I don't think it's that bad for a 3, but it's not good. I like the hot tub on the deck lid, like on the top. That's pretty cool. That's pretty smart. But you know, this is definitely a different Circle B scheme with like pink, black, and purple. I'm guessing they did that for Women's History Month, like we saw some other trucks changing their colors for. But I'm not sure if it really works. I mean, it's not bad. I'll give it like a 6, but it's just weird. It's odd.
I agree with y'all. It is kind of odd. They don't look that bad to me. I like the colors and all that. I'll probably have to give them like a 7, 7.5. I like these actually.
Also from Nice, we have Brett Moffat's Circle B. This one kind of has like this throwback vibe, and I noticed kind of like it looks like paper, like where you cut. So I'll give this one like a 6.
Yeah, I'll also give it a 6.
Pretty standard 6.
And then next up from Nice is Kyle Larson's Richmar Flores truck. I don't really like this one that much. We saw a Richmar Flores car with Garrett Smithley, and that looked fire. But this looks like a generic Nice truck with their branding on it, and then you got the white front end. Like, why not just paint the whole car like the Richmar Flores? Or better yet, why not just copy off Garrett Smithley's scheme? Because that scheme looked so nice. I'm gonna go ahead and just give this one a 4.
I also give it a 4. This is, I mean, even without knowing or without seeing Garrett Smithley's scheme, this is just weird. I mean, like, I guess the green is supposed to look like a leaf, but it's not even the right green if they want to go for like a leaf look. And the white just looks off as well.
It do be whack though. 4.
Next up, Dawson Cram Overtons. This is the one that we just mentioned that had the Women's History Month on the deck lid, which they did it much better than what Jordan Anderson did, but like we talked about last episode. But it's still kind of bland. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 5.
Yeah, I'll also give it a 5. It's pretty bland. There's nothing really calling out to me that says, you know, this is a really great scheme. I like the purple for Women's History Month, though. Like the pinkish, like magenta-ish that fades into a deep purple, but then fades into the blue that we see everywhere else in the truck. I really do like that. But overall, it's not my favorite scheme, but it's also not the worst. So I'm just going to go in the center and give it a 5.
I'm gonna have to give this one. I don't mind this one at all, but it's not a great scheme either. I'm giving this a 6.5.
And then next up, we have Carson Hoskovar's Brian Clausen tribute. Honestly, this looks like DC Solar, but it does have the Brian Clausen on it. I'm having a really hard time if I want to rate this. I'm going to go ahead and just give it like a 7 because I like the DC Solar cars.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6.
I'm gonna give this one a 5.
And next up, we got Kyle Weatherman's Big Frig coolers. This car looks pretty cool. It kind of gives me Harvick Bush vibe, or no, not Harvick. Keselowski Keystone Light vibes with the mountains on the side. But it's also kind of bland with just the white. I wish that it was more like blue, like what we saw with the Camping World truck. But I still don't mind it, so I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It looks very similar to Brad Keselowski's Keystone Light with the lighter color up top and the mountains at the bottom. It also kind of resembles the Camping World scheme that I think Jordan Anderson ran. One of them ran with mountains on the bottom. This also is quite similar to that, but it's a pretty basic scheme, I think. Just the white, you know, just white with mountains on it, which looks good. It's a pretty cool scheme for their team, but overall, if you're like putting it up against all the other ones, I have to give this one a 6.
I actually like this one a good bit, and I have to go with what Mike said, and I'm actually gonna give this a 7.5. I like this.
And then next up, we got Kyle, also from Kyle Weatherman, his LOF scheme. I don't mind this one. I think it's supposed to support like police dogs, I think, because I see police dogs on the side, but it's also a security company, which I really like that touch. And the scheme just looks really nice too. I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8.
Yeah, this one I do like. I agree with an 8, and I'm actually going to raise it to a 9. I don't know why, but it just looks really good, and I like how it's an actual picture of a dog and not like a weird cartoon one that we've seen many schemes run cartoons. And there's actually been a good amount of schemes we've reviewed this year that have actual pictures like printed onto their cars, into the wrap. So I like it. I like how the LOF is tilted on the side and is at an angle instead of just straight. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9.
Facts. I mean, it's pretty cool to see another like scheme with an animal on it because it's been a while since we've seen those. But I mean, there's probably gonna be people out there, they're like people on Twitter or something, be like, "Oh, what's the police doing on a NASCAR? oh, we can have that on there now. But anyways, I'm not going to go into that. But anyways, I mean, all that aside, I'm going to give this one actually an 8.
And next up is Joey Gaze's Pro Masters. Ryan made a good point here, and I actually agree with him. If you guys watch The Crew, it looks like the car that the main character drove later in the series, Fake Steak. I don't know why they just robbed that off, but okay, I'll give it a 5 actually. I don't know.
What's this one look like again? I think I pulled up the wrong one.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Send it
Ryan?
to the chat, please, because I also need to look at it again.
Dude, some of these I don't know why, but I just can't find them. Like I thought I had them sent. All right, this one. Yeah, there's 2 of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
found
like
it.
the orange. I like the orange on these. It makes them stick out. The one on the top with the 7, I think it's really cool. I like that one. I'm gonna have to give that one like an 8.5. One on the bottom's pretty standard. I don't really like that one a lot. The one on the bottom, I'm probably gonna give a 5.
Yeah, the one on the top, Corey LaJoy's 7, I give a 10. That's awesome. I like that scheme. But the 53, I mean, even the logo looks like Fake Steak. Even with the dude in the middle, that looks like the little bull that they have. It's like almost a direct copy, and I'm pretty sure, was it this team that ran that scheme, that ran the Fake Steak?
It's Rick Ware.
Yeah, because I know that car was actually run for like on-screen footage, but this looks very similar to it. And we saw another ProMaster scheme, and the colors are completely different from it as well. So this scheme, I kind of find it funny how similar it is to Fake Steak, so I'm gonna give it a 6.
Next up is Parker Klingerman's Overtons. Again, this is another pretty basic, bland scheme. I'm gonna give this one. I give this one a 5.
Yeah,
I also give it a 5. It's not too special.
How many Overtons are we going to see? We see them every week, but I have to agree with y'all, not really that great. 4.
And then next up is Clint Boyer's iRacing. This one looks pretty cool as well. It's got this nice blue, which I really like, and the red. That fits really well with iRacing's colors, and it just looks so good on the Mustang body. I'm going to give that one an 8.
If I'm correct, I have the right one up. We don't really see many iRacing paint schemes, in the NASCAR races. So it's kind of cool to see one out on the track, hopefully. And I'm going to have to give this a 7.
Yeah, this one's going to be an 8 for me. I really like it. I like the colors, and it's different from other iRacing schemes, but in a good way.
And the other iRacing car is Anthony Alfredo's iRacing car, but this one is actually running in real life. So I really don't mind this one. I think it looks better than the Boyer one because I like the way they did the white in the front and then they had the blue and the red on the sides. But at the same time, now I'm looking at it, it looks like Larson's car.
It does.
I'm gonna go ahead and give this one. I'll give this one a 9.
I like this one much better, like you said. I like this one much better than the other one. I'm going to have to give this one a 9. So what about you, Ryan?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's, for some reason, I like Clint Boyer's better, personally. Maybe it's just the render. But I'm looking at the actual car here, the one in the garage. That's not the render. And it's a pretty nice scheme. I like the colors, so I'm going to give it a 9.
And then next up is Dale Jr.'s Degree iRacing. He did not make the main event in this, and I don't know if Clint made the main event in this. I didn't watch the heat races. I just know Jr. didn't make it. But I don't mind this one. It's got this nice green and then the blue in the back. I'll give this one a 7.
I'll give it an 8. I like it. Love the colors.
Yeah, this one I think is pretty cool. I mean, we've seen some degree paint schemes in the past, and this one is a little different, but I mean, still it's a little similar to the ones we've seen. I'm gonna have to give this one an 8 as well.
And then next up is Ty Dillon's Bass Pro / Toyota. I don't mind this one. I notice a little bit of like Bass Pro colors, which I don't mind. And then you got the generic Toyota side. I'll give this one a 6.
I guess I'll go. I like Bass Pro Shop schemes, and this one is no different than other ones that I like. In regard Bass Pro Shops, it has more green color to it than other ones we've seen. I'm gonna have to give this one an 8.
Yeah, this one I'm gonna give a 7. I like the top half of the car is Bass Pro Shops sliding upward or slanting, and then the bottom half you have the same parallel lines, but in the Toyota colors. So I think that's really nice. I think it's smart, so I'll give it a 7.
And then next up we have Daniel Suarez's ComScope for iRacing as well. Gonna be honest here, I like this better than the primary. I like the blue and how it meshes well with the green, similar to what we saw with the BJ McLeod car for Xbox and NASCAR Heat 5. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 10. This is fire.
Yeah, I'm also giving it a 10. That's really nice. I love the green and the blue. This is how you do green on a race car, especially with that blue. I wouldn't say it's a neon blue, but that's definitely what I would call a neon green, especially what I'm seeing here in the render. So 10 for me, that's a really good scheme, and I wish they would actually use that out of iRacing on the track.
Actually, it definitely sticks out. I'm giving this a 9.
And then finally, we have Joey Gaze's Davey Allison throwback.
Yeah.
This is really cool. I think we've seen this scheme before, but shout out to Register Me for, converting their logo into the Joey Gaze car. I really like it. I'm going to give it a 9.
I love this. We haven't seen this sort of like black and red and yellow car, since Montoya when he drove the 42. I like this a lot. I mean, Brad Keselowski did sort of have a throwback a little bit in this color with Rusty Wallace, but this is really cool. I really like to see this Davey Allison throwback. I was hoping they would do one, and they did, and I think this is pretty lit. I'm giving this a 10.
Yeah, I also
All
give
right.
it's fine. I also give this one a 10. It looks really good. I love the colors. I'm a fan of Davey Allison and Joey Gase. So pretty great scheme. 10, I like it. And it's being run on my birthday, so pretty cool.
All right, now let's move on to the top 10.
One thing real quick, I don't know if you saw this one, but I was going through some of the other paint schemes that I've seen recently, and the 33 one with Keith McGee, I don't like this one at all. I don't know if y'all seen this one, but I think this one's like a 2. Like
I have never seen that one.
I don't like it at all. I don't know. I just saw that on my feed, but pretty bad.
Send it to the chat and we'll review it next episode. Now let's go on to the top 10, which this is you, Christian.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'm sending this post to the chat, and for some reason my internet's not working now, so it won't let me. But all right, so at number 10, we got the 1980 Virginia 500. Number 10 is the Dell Senior. Actually caused a big one at Martinsville.
We'll see if Baker can dive into that second spot as he had hoped. The fastway around Martinsville is on the inside. Green flag is falling. Waltrip beats Baker into the first turn, and he cuts inside, cutting off Benny Parsons, who lies third. Out of third, too, but trouble in the first turn. As Dale Earnhardt and Dick Brooks tangle, J.B. McDuffie rolls to the inside to miss him, and the rest of the field scrambles by. It looks like rush hour on the freeway. As Paul piled up, there's Harry Gant and James Hilton, who look to have gotten the worst. Let's take a look at how it started. Here's Earnhardt with his left wheel down on the grass. He gets in to Richard Petty, turns Petty crossways, then Dick Brooks gets in, and everybody then starts piling into him with nowhere to go. There's Harry Gant's car near the top of your screen. He gets hit from all sides. Terry Labonte, James Hilton.
Was at Martinsville, and I don't know, I started 5th or 6th or 10th or somewhere. Your dad was behind us. Anyhow, we go down the first corner. They throw the green flag. We go down the first corner. I'm turning here. Here comes a car across the grass, lands on my hood. Who is it?
Dale Earnhardt.
So I went over and said, don't let that happen again. I give him one of them finger deals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the first time I remember Dale Earnhardt.
That was a nice way of putting it. Turn 1, first lap.
On the inside.
On the inside. And
clean. In the grass.
And there's about, ends up wrecking 10 cars, you know.
At least.
Yeah, bad deal. And, you know, knocks the king out.
You think people take notice?
No. So that's all he got? Because I'd have figured you'd have grabbed him around and put him in the headlock.
No.
Maurice,
give him a little
did
bit
he
more
have
than that.
anything to say about it?
How did he get away from Dale and Maurice?
Roll it. So basically, you know, it was lap 1. And you don't really see a lot of lap 1 wrecks at Martinsville, but I mean, that day was the day that we were going to see it, and it was a big one. So Dale Sr., you know, second year as a, I guess, full-time driver, you know, and he goes into turn 1 and he gets into Richard Petty, turns him around, and then everyone just behind him just stacks up in a pile and nowhere to go. And Richard Petty, as you can see in the footage, Richard Petty was asked about this later on in the Dale Jr. Download podcast. And Richard Petty recalled about it. He's like, I was pretty upset about it, you know, gave the young Dale, you know, a stern talking to, basically, a little bit of, like, you need to learn your lesson. And Dale Sr. was young, you know, he was the intimidator. He wasn't afraid to rough it up with the big guys, especially it being only his second full-time season, which he actually won the championship that year. And some people that also may not know, that race, Richard Petty actually finished 3rd, and Darrell Waltrip won the race. Benny Parsons was 2nd. There's 3 cars on the lead lap. I take that back, 4. And Kelly Yarborough was 4th. Dale Sr. finished 13th, minus, guess how many laps he was down in 13th.
13.
So 16 laps down at 13th. So there was a lot.
Very interesting.
Yeah, there was a lot of incidents mechanical wise too. There was multiple wrecks, and there was rain also at the halfway point, and they didn't call the race. And after as the points stood before the race, Dale Sr. was the points leader, and he was the points leader leaving the race, and Darrell Waltrip moved up 2nd in points. So that I feel like was interesting to put at number 10, and there's a lot in honorable mentions that could have taken that spot, but I just thought it'd be cool to put that in since a lot of y'all don't know about it.
In at number 9 is Joey Logano moving Martin Truex Jr. to win and lock himself into the championship. Here is the clip.
So much pressure inside these cars. This is an incredible drive by Joey Logano, regardless of the result.
He raced him clean again to the inside. Martin Truex Jr. has the advantage as they come up the turn. He'll see the caution comes out and the crowd roars.
Talked about it after what we saw a couple weeks ago. I was the first to say I never expected that to happen out of the 20 car.
Helmets coming off of the crew members of the 20. Joey Logano stuck in the grass. If the 20 of Matt Kenseth can continue, NASCAR has said he will be parked. Helmet is already off of the 20. And we have to remind you why this is happening. A couple races ago at Kansas, Matt Kenseth was leading. Joey Logano running second. You can tell how the fans feel about it. The red flag is out as they will have to clean the track up. A couple races ago in Kansas, the team told Joey to stay in the car, but obviously Joey out of the car, not able to continue on. In the latter laps of the race at Kansas, Joey Logano had a faster car than Matt Kenseth. He got behind him. He bumped him going into turn one. He turned Kenseth around. After the race, Kenseth said, "That's not the way I want to be raced. Now I know how he races me." This is what just took place.
Clearly, the 22 is lapping the 20, and 20 obviously intentionally wrecked him. And like what happened the week before was more than 2 weeks before was more than it should have been, and just flat wrecking.
Matt Kenseth already not having the day that he wanted to have. And the opportunity presented itself at a short track.
Still down there, still down there, still down there, still down there.
Once the favorite for the title, Joey Logano out of his car. Matt Kenseth out of his car. It will be an interesting trip to the infield care center.
Joey Logano has walked out of the infield care center. Joey, are you surprised?
Well, yeah. I thought, I think what happened in Kansas is a completely different deal. We were racing for the win, and he blocks you a few times, and then we raced hard, and he blocked me last time, and we spun out. That's what happened there. Here is just a complete coward move, especially for a championship race car driver and race team. Just complete coward. I don't have anything else to say. It's a chicken, move to completely take out the leader when your race is over, and we'll move on. We're going to work hard, and we're going to get our car back out there hopefully, and we just got to win.
Joey, between then and now, had you made any attempt at all to try to resolve the situation with Matt?
They won't let me get to him.
10-4. Obviously very disappointed. His chase is in jeopardy now for the championship round, Rick.
Out of the story, Matt.
Well, it's really a disappointing day. I thought we were going to have a shot at the win there. And, they were jacking up the restart real bad to let each other in as teammates, which that's fine. And Brad went in there, and I got outside of Joey, and I was going to try to race him for the win, and Brad wiped me out for some reason. I'm not really sure why. And then we had so much damage on the right front. I should have probably just put it in the garage. I just got into one and couldn't get it to turn, and ran Joey over. So disappointing end for sure.
Joey said it was a complete coward move on your part. Your reaction to that?
I don't have any comments for that.
There will be people who say there was intent involved, even though you said you had a right front go down. What's your comment to those folks?
Well, there's people who say a lot of things. The splitter was trying to take the ground and, got in the corner and, certainly ruined his day. I know what it's like to be that, too. Some days you're the bat, some days you're the ball. It's never fun when you're the ball. So, it's like I said, disappointing end to our chase. And, he's got a couple races left. He's got the best car. He might get a couple wins here and still have a shot at it. So, certainly disappointed it came down to that, man. I was out there trying to race hard as I could for Dollar General and try to get the win. I really thought we were going to have a shot for a win before, they got me the first time. So, disappointing to get wiped out twice in the last 4 weeks with a shot to win for sure.
Do you think this is over, or do you see another chapter maybe coming in retribution from him?
I don't know. I feel like every week's a new week. Go out and race, do what you think is right, race as hard as you can, and just take it 1 week at a time. So I don't know. I try to do the best I can. You never like to be in these situations. They really stink, to be honest with you, but sometimes you get put in these spots, and you gotta try to keep respect in the garage area. You can't get yourself ran over. You can't get in a chase next year and get ran over for the same reason. So, like I said, I hate the way it ended. Wish we were out there celebrating or having a shot for the win like we did before we got wrecked. So, disappointing day.
Matt Kenseth, very matter-of-fact about it, Rick, but that is his side of the story.
So, in the 2015 playoffs at Kansas, Joey bumped Matt Kenseth, which resulted him into getting loose and spinning out. After Joey had won the race at Kansas, he went out on a tear and won all of the races in the round of 12 that season. Matt had also claimed that Joey had brake-checked him at Daytona. Matt had enough of Joey and decided to take him out at Martinsville while Matt was so many laps down. He didn't even have a hood under his car. As a Logano fan, this brings back a lot of PTSD because I feel like we would have won that championship, no questions asked. He was about to get his 4th win in a row, and Matt Kenseth doing that. I mean, I understand why Matt was mad, even though I feel like Joey didn't mean to, purposely spin him, more like give him the bump and run, like what we saw with Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace a couple episodes back. But I feel like Matt, I don't really know how I feel about the payback. I just know that, I don't like Matt Kenseth because of that payback. But, Joey did get his championship, so I guess all's well. And Joey's matured as a driver a lot, so hey, live and learn, I guess. I don't know how really to feel about it.
Yeah, I mean that moment. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, so that's what that incident was like from a Logano fan's point of view.
I mean that race, altogether definitely deserves the number 1 spot. I mean that, and also put on that in the list. I didn't want to put the finish of that race in Jeff Gordon's final win, at number 2, because it's hard to decide. I didn't want to make it to where it was 2 separate numbers on the list. So I put Jeff Gordon's final win number 1 as well, which was the same race. Basically, if Logano didn't get wrecked, Gordon would have won his final race. But if he still lost the race, I bet he would have won again another time. But Joey Logano, I feel like had it coming. I was a big fan of Logano that year. I really wasn't. I didn't like what he did to Kenseth. And I've said this before on another episode. I feel like Logano was just, rubbing people the wrong way that year. And I did feel like he would have won the championship that year if that didn't happen. And Kenseth was already upset because he had been in a wreck with Brad Keselowski earlier on in that race. And Kenseth was like, well, I'm just going to wait for him. And then, boom, just takes him out. I remember I was actually, a funny story, I was cooking dinner that night, actually. It was Sunday night sort of evening. I was actually cooking dinner. The race was on in the other room, but I wasn't able to hear it because I was cooking dinner. So I had the radio on beside the stove so I could listen to the race. And all of a sudden, I hear the call, Kenseth gets into Logano. They both wrecked. I remember jumping up and down, just going crazy. Like, I can't explain it, dude. Like, I was just so, hyped up because, not like that, dislike Logano, but I just was happy because I was tired of seeing him win 3 races in a row. I have to say that. That's just me. I didn't want him to win all the rest of the races of the year. And that basically changed where the season was going to go. Kyle Busch would have won that championship, but that didn't happen. And Jeff Gordon wouldn't have got his final win. And, Jeff Gordon passed him, and he held on. He beat Jamie McMurray barely to get that win. So that's why I put it in number 1 spot. I bet everyone else would have as well.
Yeah, I even would have put it number 1, to be honest. I mean, just the way the fans were screaming, that was just such a memorable moment. But I remember I was 12 years old, and I remember, I was watching Joey, and I remember him passing Matt, and I wasn't really scared because it was a routine pass. He just was gonna pass him. When Matt turned him, like me and my mom, we were watching in her room, and we both started like raging at Matt Kenseth, like raging at him. Like we were like, I can't swear because I promised I wouldn't swear on the show, but yeah, that was just a crazy day. But we were definitely happy for Jeff Gordon. I feel like that was the best ending for Jeff's career. At one of his best tracks.
It was.
They just watched a crazy moment. That was perfect for Jeff Gordon to go out like that. And I really wanted Jeff to win that championship, but obviously, that didn't happen. So now to.
I wish I would have. Sorry, I wish I would have seen your reaction to when that happened. I honestly probably would have been dying laughing. I don't know why, but I just thinking about what you would reacted to, the way you reacted to that, I probably would have laughed.
I mean, if I got like somewhat clowned for being pissed off that Joey lost the Daytona 500, I probably would have gotten clowned even worse. So now let's go on to our Martinsville picks. We got 2 races this weekend, the Xfinity race and the Cup race, which, by the way, we forgot to mention this. Rain tires at Martinsville. We're trying to experiment with that on the flatter tracks like Richmond, Martinsville, New Hampshire, those types of tracks. So what's your guys' thoughts on that?
Honestly, I thought the trucks were racing at Martinsville, but it's interesting to see the Xfinity Series race at the track because they never have. And the rain tires, I'm tired of rain delays, so I'm glad that they're doing this. If it rains, they're going to have the rain tires. The Xfinity race, I feel like, we'll probably actually see a lot of wrecks because it's the first time they've been there in those cars. So I think it could be a wreck fest, in my opinion.
And they went there last year, unless you mean that they have another car.
Yeah, they did?
Yeah, they did last year on Halloween.
I can't
it's okay,
believe
Christian. I've made dumb mistakes like that as well.
Bro, I didn't even remember they raced there last year. When did they do that? Was that the spring or the fall?
That was Halloween. Harrison Burton won that race.
Bruh, I can't believe I forgot. I guess it's because I'm getting older. I'm now 20. I guess I'm starting to have memory problems. But anyways, I forgot about that race. But yeah, we might see some wrecks in this one. I don't think it'll be as good as the Cup race, of course. But for me, I honestly don't know who to pick because we could see a first-time winner. We could see someone who hasn't won this year. Or, I'm actually going to go with Noah Gragson. And the reason why is because I think he's not afraid to use the bumper. I feel like he's going to bump someone out of the way, and he'll get the win.
So, for the rain tires, I don't know why they're testing on Martinsville. I feel like they should test it more like on Bristol, or they should make it so it's easier to go on the banking. But then again, they'd probably have to like lessen the speeds a little bit, back the fans up a little bit in case there's a big wreck. But yeah, that's interesting to me that it's happening. Finally, some development, but just wrong tracks in my opinion. I don't think that it really rains that much at the flatter tracks, besides maybe Richmond and Martinsville because it does rain there sometimes. But I'm gonna go ahead. I've been having a little bit of a toss-up for this, but I'm going to go ahead and try something a little different. I'm going to go ahead and pick Jeb Burton, excuse me. He was running pretty solid. I think if I'm correct, he was up in the front a little bit. I don't remember the whole race because I was going to go hang out with my friends that day since it was Halloween. I remember AJ Allmendinger finishing second, but I'm just going to go with Jeb Burton. I feel like it's time for him to get a win, and I feel like he could do it.
Yeah, for the rain tires, I think it's a good idea overall, but I also agree that it's iffy for the track they chose for Martinsville because they're mostly going to need to do it on higher banking. Martinsville does not have any banking compared to some of the other short tracks that they said they would run on if it tested positive, if it was a good test. For the race, I was gonna say Gregson. So he's my more realistic pick, is Gregson. But since Christian already said him,
oh boy, going different.
this is not gonna end well. Allmendinger.
That's not a bad pick at all, though.
Because he's starting like what, third, I think. Yeah, he's starting
I
third.
guess.
So
Okay.
even though that's not really from lap time qualifying, he's starting up there. I think he'll be able to learn from being up front, and he might be able to pull it off.
Imagine if he wrecks Cindric. That'd be crazy.
Oh my God. Yes.
Payback. Justice.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, AJ's a good pick. He has finished there solid twice, second twice there in 2012 in the Cup, and most recently last season. And for Cup, I'm picking this guy right here, Joey Logano. He's going to go 2 in a row. In my opinion, he's very solid at Martinsville. I think that he's just going to win it. I think he almost won there last year, if I'm correct. So in the spring. So I'm going to go Joey Logano. I'm going to take my chances on him Saturday night under the lights. He knows when to show up. This man right here, Joey Logano.
I'm going Chase.
You going Truex?
Chase Elliott.
Oh, Chase. I thought they said Truex.
No.
Chase isn't a bad pick, though. I mean, I could see that. He's ran well before there, but last year he didn't. But for me, I have a toss-up because I want to go with Brad Keselowski, but at the same time, I don't, because I don't like Brad Keselowski. And given the history of Joe Gibbs Racing's success in recent years, we've seen at Martinsville, I'm going with Denny Hamlin. He's done really well at Martinsville in the past. He swept the races in 2010, which is in the honorable mentions of the top 10 list. And I feel like Denny Hamlin, he hasn't won a short track in a while, like Martinsville. So I got to go with him.